When Fiat made their return to the States about 5 years ago, it did so with the spunky, charismatic, and downright adorable 500 hatchback. However, as Americans shift their focus from small cars to SUVs, where does that leave the current model? Well, this week, Fiat has sent me over the latest 2018 500 hatchback in this very attractive shade of retro blue. How has it aged over the years? That's what we're here to find out. Even though the 500 was new to the States back in 2012, this vehicle's platform has actually been around the world since 2007, so it's pretty much due for a complete redesign, which is why Fiat has pretty much left this car unchanged for the 2018 model year. 2016, we did see some updates to the interior, although the exterior hasn't really changed design-wise. Now, when you look at the 500, I mean, how could you not get excited and giggly over this car? It's literally one of the girliest cars that you can buy on the market today, and it's a car that definitely is not serious, so this review will be a little bit more on the charismatic side because, I mean, come on, it's a freaking 500. It's a really girly car, a really bubbly car, and you probably will never see a straight man driving it, and I'm going to go to that reference because, I mean, look at this car. It's a bright retro blue. It's super cute. It's super small, and I actually really adore driving it, especially my tester with this 5-speed manual. Now, when you look at the design, it has the traditional Fiat looks. It's got that chrome mustache in the grille, that Fiat emblem. It's got these bubbly round headlights that are also repeated for the turn signals and the fog lights. Now, by the way, daytime running lights are included. However, if you're looking for LED daytime running lights or LED or HID headlights, look elsewhere because Fiat doesn't offer it on the 500 on any price. Now, for 2018, Fiat has simplified the trim lines. You can basically take this car in 3 trims, starting from the Pop, Lounge, and the crazy hot-rodded Abarth, which is probably the one that most of the enthusiasts are going to go for. My tester is the more luxuriously oriented Lounge, the more comfort-oriented model. It comes standard with these 15-inch machine-spoked alloy wheels. You can also go to a 16-inch if you guys plan to do so. And the overall size of this car is downright small. Now, if you thought a vehicle like a Mazda Miata or a Honda Fit or Ford Fiesta was small, take a look at this because this competes in the mini car class with a Smart 4.2. The Scion IQ was killed off in 2016. And its wheelbase is about 90.6 inches long. Its overall length is about 139 inches long. For comparison, your neighbor's Ford F-250 has a longer wheelbase than this car, and you can literally park it in between the front and rear wheels. Now, the back of the design isn't particularly the most attractive angle for me. You can really see how tall this car is. I don't really like how narrow and tall it is, but it does aid with giving you a little bit more interior space. Again, don't expect to find any modern things like LED taillights or an LED tag light. You do get a nice chrome exhaust finish tip for this particular model, although if you go for the Abarth, you get a nice dual exhaust, which basically has no mufflers. And overall, I think this car still looks very cute. It actually still attracts a lot of attention out on the road, especially in this retro blue color. But I do think I am curious to see what Fiat plans to do with this car when they redesign it, kind of bring it into the modern age, make it a little bit more modern with some LED lighting, a little bit more sleeker design here, maybe a lower stance to give this car a little bit more of an aggressive look. But let's take a look at the inside and see what Fiat has done over the years. So every Fiat 500 will come with remote keyless entry. Don't expect to find intelligent access key with push button start. It's not available at any price for any 500 trim. It does have the switchblade key. Overall, it's a nice key. It's the same key that I showed you guys back in 2012. It works like every other key. Push the lock button there, unlock button there, and then you can open the trunk from this key. Now approaching the 500 and then opening the door, it pretty much has an interior that matches the exterior. I actually really like my tester with these tan seats, with the two-tone, with the body-colored panels in the dashboard. It's actually a really nice looking interior at a glance, especially when you consider the price of this vehicle. It's a relatively inexpensive car, competing with like a Honda Fit or a Hyundai Accent. The seats on my tester also look fantastic. I love the 500 embroidered into the seat back. They're also nicely bolstered. They're really comfortable and soft. I really like the leather. It's a a really nice feeling seat overall. Now getting inside the car, it actually is really easy to get in and out of because the roof is so high. You don't have to duck your head really if you're taller, so that's definitely nice. Now when you shut the door, it could sound a little bit more solid. I mean, this chassis is pretty old, dating back to 2007. And then as I said before, no push button start, so instead, take the key out, and you guys may really like this, put it in the ignition, and then turn it like a traditional car. And because my tester has the 5-speed manual, you gotta put the clutch in, then turn the key. And what you're hearing is the base engine. This is the 1.4 liter multi-air 4-cylinder with no direct injection. It's pretty garden variety basic, honestly. Now this car doesn't weigh much, so we'll get into the test drive later, we'll talk about that. Now, Fiat did update the gauges in 2016. If you guys remember my old 2012 review I did like 4 years ago, it had these weird stacked gauges for the tachometer, for the speedo. I like how Fiat has replaced it with an LCD screen in the center. The tach, although, is off to the side here, which is kind of hard to read. You have an Mpg display here with your fuel gauge and then your temperature gauge. When you push this sport button right here, it changes the display and it makes it red, and then it also changes this from an Mpg display to like a gas pedal throttle position indicator with basically how much throttle you're giving it. Kind of silly in a car that doesn't have this much power. I really would love to drive this car in the Abarth form. I actually have not been able to drive a 500 Abarth just yet. Now looking at the rest of this interior, I said earlier it was updated in 2016. You can see the dashboard layout here has been updated. You have a more flushly integrated 5-inch Uconnect head unit display. My tester does have the TomTom navigation. It's a very small screen. I'm actually pretty disappointed with how small it is. Even though this is a small car, I would like to at least see FCA put the 6.5-inch, if not the 8.4-inch screen in this car. You could fit it in here if you just got rid of all these buttons along the side and just took up the entire display. The materials in here are pretty much what you expect. They're all hard touch plastic. It's all hard touch plastic. It feels a little bit cheapy. Most of it fits together well, although some of the plastic panels in here feel really scratchy, and then you can see there's a slight gap right there where it's a little bit bigger here versus, you know, more tightly finished, close finished together on that side. It's a little disappointing. When you look at the door panels here, it's also very cheap plastic. You have a chrome door handle here. It is padded right here where you're going to rest your elbows, and then Fiat gives you a nice little storage here for your phone. Now the window controls are actually right here on the center console by the shifter. It's automatic down for both windows, but not auto up. It's a very large window as well. I was going to complain about the window controls being over here, but it's honestly a pretty easy reach. My tester, being the lounge, does come with single zone automatic climate control, and you also get a 1-level heated seat, fog lights right there, and then my tester also has the upgraded Beats audio system. Now, one thing that is glaringly missing is a backup camera. When you put the vehicle into reverse, there's no backup camera whatsoever, which is kind of annoying. And then if you look over here, you do have rear parking sensors, which is nice. You get that on the lounge model, but it would be nice to see if Chrysler or Fiat would put a backup camera on this car. Even though it's really small, it's still kind of necessary, and I imagine Fiat will do that in the coming years. Down here, you can see this is for the 5-speed manual transmission. It's a longer throw for the shifter, and I don't like how reverse, you have to actually pull up. It's not necessary. You just really need to go back. But again, it could use a 6th gear, but it's definitely nice that my tester has the manual. You can also get a 6-speed automatic if you guys don't know how to drive stick. Down here, you can see there's a USB port, an aux port, a 12-volt. You got 2 cup holders, a little bit more storage down here, a traditional handbrake. You have 2 armrests right here, which is nice, and then a little bit more storage down there, which is great because there's barely any storage space in this car in general. The glove compartment, it's damped. It's huge, actually, and there's an additional USB port just for charging in there, so at least they gave you 2 USB ports. And then above you, my tester has the optional sunroof, which opens up either tilting, or you push it again, it opens up all the way, which is definitely nice. It's actually a really fast moving sunroof, and it lets in a lot of light. You can also get this car in a convertible cabrio form if you guys actually want to let in all the air entirely. Overall, I think the interior is nicely finished for a small car. You know, definitely the cheap materials because this is an inexpensive car, but it has a lot of character just like the exterior. Now this car does have a back seat, and to access the back seat, just get over on this side, pull this little latch right there, and then move the seat forward. Now, just for comical reasons, I'm going to get back here and see how the space is to show you guys. Now, let's move the seat back. Okay, so the headrests do kind of eat into your back. So my recommendation would be to put them up. But once you put them up, wow. So I was expecting the space to be very good in the headroom part. My hair actually is touching the ceiling, which is kind of disappointing. I'm not that tall. But legroom is okay. I mean, you move the seat up a little bit. You definitely would have a little more space where my knees wouldn't be touching. There is good foot space underneath here, but this car only seats 2, which is good because it's not very wide. The materials back here, they're all hard touch plastic, kind of what I expected, but at least Fiat gives you, 2 map pockets, and then you have your own set of 2 cup holders right there. Now this is a hatchback, so it is practical in the cargo area, right? Well, with the seats up, you're only looking at about 9.5 cubic feet of space. Honestly, it looks a lot smaller than that. The sub on my tester with the Beats audio does take up a little bit of that space. Now, if you want, because the back seats are not really great for carrying people, you can actually fold down these back seats, and when you do that, Fiat actually says you get around 30.5 cubic feet of space, which is a lot better. It's not really a flat floor because the seats don't fold down flat, but because it is a hatch with a tall roof, you can kind of stack it up there. So my recommendation is, you're probably not going to use the back seats to put people in there anyways, just fold them down, you have a lot more cargo space. Underneath the hood of the 500, things haven't actually changed. This is the same 1.4 liter multi-air 4-cylinder with variable valve timing but no direct injection. It still makes the same power as it did back in 2012, 101 horsepower and 98 pound-feet of torque, which is not a lot, even by modern car standards, even by small car standards. Now this car gets pretty decent gas mileage. It's rated at 31 in the city, 38 on the highway. It does recommend premium fuel, which is kind of an insult, although it does only have a 10.5 gallon gas tank. You can still put regular in it, although Fiat says on the gas tank it's premium recommended. Now, this car only comes with front-wheel drive. It weighs around 2,400 pounds in this configuration, which is a little bit on the heavier side. I expected it to be under 2,000 pounds considering how small it is. If you guys want more power, the Abarth basically has this motor with a turbo strapped onto it to produce 160 horsepower, 170 pound-feet of torque. That's really the one I would want to drive, but this is the one that I have, so let's get on the road and see how it performs. So it's been a while since I drove a Fiat 500. I'm trying to remember back to the 2012 model I drove, which was actually a sport trim that Fiat has gotten rid of, and it also had a 5-speed manual. And honestly, this is the way you want to go with this car to get with the manual. It has so little power. It's such a cheeky, cute little car. The manual is probably the best way to experience it. I honestly have never driven the 500 Abarth, which is surprising. It's just always kind of eluded me. And I never really cared for this car much when it first came out personally, although the 500 does make a pretty nice noise. Now, first things first, this is a small car and the ride quality will remind you of that. It's a very jerky ride, a bumpy ride. The small wheelbase, even though my tester has these small 15-inch wheels, you're going to be reminded constantly you're in a tiny car. Now, because the dashboard is so long and the roof's so high, it does actually give you a little bit more feeling of space, which is nice. Once you put your foot down, it's like, where's the power? It's so bloody slow, even with the 5-speed manual. But it's one of those cars where if you drive it slow, fast, it can be relatively fun. Now, going through some these back roads here, the first thing I'm noticing is this car's steering. I obviously don't have the sporty Abarth model, and it's a relatively slow ratio steering for how small this car is, for how light and nimble it is. I wish it was a little bit more direct, but again, I am driving the more luxury, comfort-oriented lounge model, so that's kind of what Fiat has tuned it for. It's got plenty of body roll, and because of the high roof, it makes this car feel a little tippy, which is not ideal, especially when you're kind of attacking corners in this thing. You kind of wish that it was a little bit flatter, but that's kind of why you buy the Abarth model. And the 5-speed manual, the throws are pretty long, although I do like the placement being here on the center console. It's nice. The clutch takes a little bit of getting used to because I found that the engagement point's kind of tricky. It's right at the end of the travel, and I stalled this car a couple of times, but my God, my foot is to the floor here. Where's the power? And there's a very noticeable rattle in this car when I'm in second gear or third gear and I'm pulling between 3,500 to about Redline, to about 6,000 RPM where it redlines. There's a very noticeable rattle in the firewall on the driver's side here, so that's a little disconcerting. It kind of reminds you again that Fiat still has some quality issues, and they've definitely been experiencing that in this car. Oh, goodness. Now, if you're patient enough, this car should get to 60 in the mid 10-second range, like 10.5 seconds. It's downright slow. If you guys go for the 6-speed automatic, it's even slower. You're looking at like around 12 seconds to 60, which is downright terrible even for this class of vehicle. I highly recommend going for the Abarth, which will shave the 0 to 60 time by like 3 seconds to like 7 seconds, which is much more of an improvement. It's much more tolerable. Now, the handling of this car, again, as I said earlier, it's a little tippy feeling, but it's very small, so you can see really well out of it. You got great visibility, big side mirrors. Basically, you look behind you, you see the rear of the car. It's kind of like really easy to drive, especially in city conditions, which is good because this car offers no driver assistance tech, no blind spot, no backup camera, no rear cross traffic alert, no automatic braking, no lane keep, nothing. You just have to drive it, which again, this is an old platform. I kind of expected that. However, it does make this car feel a little bit less safe. In fact, if you guys actually looked at the safety ratings of this car, it did poor in the small overlap front crash test, and it got only a 4 out of 5 stars in the national test. But all that just doesn't matter when you start driving this thing. From the amount of character it gives you, to just how much fun it is, even though it is a really slow car. It's just kind of, you know, a joyous, bubbly car that can put a smile on your face. Really, it's just the Abarth that would put a smile on my face. But I mean, overall, even though this car is due for a redesign, I still think it has a place in the market. I mean, I much prefer it over the old Smart 2. I haven't driven the new Smart 2, and I drove an IQ briefly, never did a video on it. That car was just downright horrible. So the Fiat 500 was always the one I recommended, and at least until I drive the new Smart 2, which is supposedly a huge improvement over the old car. But let's talk a little bit about the fuel economy of the 500, because it's rated at 31.38, and I actually have been averaging right around 30 miles to the gallon in my spirited driving with my lead foot. On the highway, I got it up to about 37, which is good. Because it only has 5 gears, it could use an extra 6 gear to give you a little bit of quieter interior, and it's a little bit loud in here, from the buzzy engine to the road noise to the rattles in the dash. That sounds horrible. So again, it reminds you that this is not an expensive car. It's just a very charismatic little car. Come on. This thing is so slow, but it still puts a smile on my face. But anyways, what's it going to cost you to get a 500 and put one in your driveway? This car starts at just under 15 grand, 14,995 for the base pop with a manual transmission. My lounge model is about $3,500 more. It gives you features like the backup sensors, the leather, the heated seats, the upgraded head unit, you know, the different wheels and tires, the sunroof. My tester has a few options on it. It's got the beige colored leather seats, it's got the navigation option, it's got the power sunroof where it gives you like a glass roof as standard, but if you actually want it to open, it's like an additional $700. All in, my tester's around $21,700. It's actually pretty cheap, although if you look at this money-wise, you could get a Nissan Versa Note for considerably less money, or a Honda Fit for the same money, fully loaded. Now, keep in mind, if you guys want the Abarth version, that starts like another couple grand on top of the lounge, like around 21, and fully loaded version of the Abarth can be around 26, 27,000, but you still can't get features like push-button start, smart entry, LED or HID headlights, or any driver assistance on this car. So again, Fiat has some work to do for an all-new generation to kind of bring this into the modern 21st century age with, you know, driver assistance, with LED lighting, with all that other good stuff. But if you guys are looking for a small car that has a lot of character like this, keep in mind a Mini Cooper starts at around 22 grand. Most are going to be over 30. The Beetle starts around $21,000, and the Smart 2 is a little bit cheaper than this, but it doesn't have a back seat, and it's a little bit smaller, which it's not that much cheaper by like $500. You're going to honestly pay the same, and you can't get the Smart 2 with a manual in the States, at least. And that kind of makes it a little bit less fun. But overall, hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on this 2018 Fiat 500 Lounge. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, make sure you follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and if you haven't done so, please subscribe to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll catch you all in the next video. And in typical Fiat fashion, my tester has thrown a check engine light while I was in the middle of driving. Not sure why, it just said service engine. And honestly, it's driving perfectly the same as it was earlier. Kind of sad. I had high hopes for you, Fiat, but you decided to throw a check engine light on me, so they still have a little bit of work to do in terms of reliability.